Hey there, John here. So, up to this point in the program, we have focused mostly on crafting your offer statement, which involves choosing a market, finding out what their problem is, and identifying how you can actually help them. If you have not done that yet and you haven't yet done your offer statement, please go and finish all that first, because otherwise, you'll only get yourself even more confused. Because in this video, we go on deeper on how to craft an irresistible offer by having an offer roadmap. So, what is an offer roadmap? Well, an offer roadmap is the series of steps or strategies you'll implement to take your client from where they are now to where they want to be. Say we want to create an offer roadmap for someone who wants to go from a newbie freelancer to someone who earns a consistent six-figure income freelancing. Now, here's what an offer roadmap will look like for that person. Number one, crafting your irresistible offer so clients have no choice but be interested in what service you provide. Next, help them get their first premium client, even if they don't have credentials, portfolio, skills, or experience. Next on their offer roadmap would be to grow their business 3 months consecutive of 100K, right? And to help them automate it so that they could get, premium clients consistently and predictably, right? So next is once they know how to get clients and they now can get clients consistently and predictably, now they will, help them scale their businesses from 100K and beyond each and every single month. Now, if this all looks familiar, that's because it's the one that we use inside the tribe. And within the next several minutes, you'll see why it is what it is and the thinking that goes behind it. Now, you may be asking, what use would my offer roadmap have? Well, you can have it, you can use it in a variety of different ways. For example, if someone is asking you, right, so what exactly do you do? So you're going to reply with something along the lines of, I help blank, right? For example, I help Shopify store owners get more sales using free traffic from Google. So, of course, they're going to ask, well, how does that work exactly if they're interested, right? So, right now you have two choices. Either you invite them on a call, right? Or you can go ahead and give them your offer roadmap to actually tease them or persuade them to working with you. Now, this is also used in doing proposals, right? When you start doing proposals, there's a part in there that talks about campaign strategy. Now, in its most simpler term, right, the campaign strategy is simply the offer roadmap in the written form. Now, check out this proposal that I wrote for the webinar campaign, right? Phase one, figuring out demand. Phase two, list engagement. Phase three, webinar review. Phase four, campaign build out. Phase five, cold traffic campaign buildup. It's my own offer roadmap for webinar campaign clients so they could go from not having any webinar success to having a webinar that generates sales and customers even as they sleep. And if I'm going to put that in an offer roadmap perspective, it's going to look like this. From no webinar to converting webinar, the steps they're going to take would be number one, discover what their market problems are so that we can position their product perfectly as a solution, prepare their audience for what's to come, make sure that the webinar has an offer their audience can refuse, and run the webinar with a goal of converting 20%. And once it's working, now we will run it as an evergreen webinar where it converts cold traffic to clients even as they sleep. Now, if you're gonna notice, right, it's the same thing right here. Basically, it's the offer roadmap. The campaign strategy is my offer roadmap in the written form. So let's go back to that example, right? Because the same strategy you'll implement to give them the results they want is just a detailed version of your offer roadmap. Personally, I use the offer roadmap when closing clients on the phone. For example, right, when I'm closing clients on the phone and I'm nearing the end of the call, it would often look like this. Right. So I'm going to say something like, okay, John, sounds like something I can help you with. One of the things that I do for clients is to then I tell them exactly what they've told me on the call. For example, if they want, okay, you know what, my problem is getting, converting webinar attendees into customers. I could tell them, okay, something I looks like something I can help you with. One of the things that I do for clients is to help them convert, to help them have a webinar that converts attendees into customers. Would you like to talk about what that looks like? Of course, they're going to say yes. All right, sure. Okay, so great. So I'll tell you what I do. Then if you have any questions, just jot them down. We can circle back around. Sounds good? Sure. Okay. So usually I would say when I take on webinar clients, right? Again, this is me talking to them on the phone. I would say, okay, so usually when I take on webinar clients, the very first thing we do is a quick and easy deep dive survey to discover what their market's problems are so we can position your product as perfectly as the solution. Okay, next to that, we're going to prepare your audience for what's to come so they are ready to buy once we start promoting. We're going to remind them about the problems they have. We're going to check the pulse of your subscribers and we're going to get them ready to be invited for the webinar. This is to make sure that they are ready for what's to come instead of coming off as an annoying car salesman. Next, once we've done that, we're going to make sure that the webinar has an offer they can't refuse. Right? This includes testing a webinar where I'll review your content delivery and your pitch. You want to have a decent offer at least before we get it out in front of live audience, or else we're simply wasting chances. Now, once we're sure that the webinar is going to convert, we're now going to run the webinar with a goal of converting 20% of attendees as an average. And to make sure we're maximizing your webinar's potential, we'll include a pre-webinar sequence designed to get them to attend, a post-webinar sequence to make sure we're giving our webinar the much needed exposure, and we're also going to be sending them time-sensitive replays, and a sales sequence inviting them to buy, right? But this time, the work would be done by your sales page and not by your webinar. This is to maximize conversions, as some people would rather read than watch an hour-long webinar. And once it's working, we will now run an evergreen webinar that converts cold traffic to clients even as you sleep. Okay, so see how it's easy when you have an exact, when you have your own offer webinar to actually tell clients on the phone exactly what you do, right? So that's the beauty of having an offer webinar. Having a clear offer like this makes it easy for you to communicate your value, whether it's on writing, by proposal, just like this one, or through calls, right? Or by phone. And frankly, if there's anything, right, if there's anything that you need to know by heart, this right here would be it. So now that you know what it looks like and what it's used for, right, the first step you need to do to craft an offer roadmap, okay, that persuades clients or prospects into getting your service is to map out the result or the transformation you'll be giving your client. What that means is, first, we're going to figure out what is the hell island or where your ideal client is struggling to the endpoint, which is heaven island, where they have achieved everything that they're looking to achieve. So say, for example, you're a community manager, right? That's your skill, right? So first you want to identify what point A is. And in this case, point A could be, you know, the group not having any engagement. That could be point A, no engagement, no sales, no nothing. And point B could be increased engagement by 100% plus or more, plus having raving fans and buyers for the product. Okay, that right there is what you call a transformation. It's not vague, it's specific, it's tangible. Now, let me give you another example. Say you're a productivity coach, right? Now, point A could be your client not feeling productive, working over 8 hours a day and feeling overworked. Now, let me ask you this. Given that is point A, what could be your point B? Now, one could say point B could be more productive, right? But what is productive? Productivity could mean a lot of things for different people. Now, one could also say that productive means being able to do a lot of things in a day. Personally, I could work all day and not feel productive at all. So the better question to ask yourself is this: what's the end result of the help I'm bringing to the table, right? In the last example, right, you can ask yourself, if I help them become more productive, what would that mean for my client? So given the answer to that question, point B, or the transformation, could be something like this: slashing 2 to 4 hours off their usual workday. And as someone who's not productive, if I know I can slash 2 to 4 hours off my usual workday, right, it's something I would want for myself. It's specific, tangible, measurable. Now, others would watch this and go, pero John, I work hourly kasi, right? Well, even if you happen to be a VA or an OBM, right, an online business manager or a virtual assistant who works on an hourly basis, remember that you're still helping them to achieve a certain outcome or result, which is always a transformation. Point A could be your client being overworked, right? Stretched out and all over the place. That could be your point A. Point B is could be your client having an extra 2 to 3 hours off each day, more resources to focus and grow their business by at least 15% by the next year. Again, specific, tangible, measurable. And I really hope this is clear so far, because that right there is the first step, the very first step to every good offer, identifying what's point A and what's the transformation that we're taking them through, which is point B. But of course, that right there is not enough, right? For example, if you're an accountant or a bookkeeper, right, it's not enough to tell clients that you'll arrange their books or save them money on taxes. People are now jaded by false promises and other freelancing services that have not delivered on those promises. In fact, they've been practically oversold, and they very likely have already purchased much less expensive versions of the product or service that are promising the same thing that you're promising them. In fact, anybody can say, I can help you get leads, I can help you rank your website, or I can help you get clients. Anybody can say that. So how are we going to counter or solve that, right? How are we going to solve it? How are we going to create massive trust and certainty into the equation, okay, when you barely even know your clients? So here's what I want you to remember. It's easy to make people buy if you can describe their problems or struggles better than they can describe them themselves, okay? Which means the solution is actually simple. Instead of just listing down random strategies or steps you'll do to get them the results they want, or just focusing on the benefits of your service that you have to offer, here's what you need to do. Identify the roadblocks. And that's step two. Step two is identifying the problems, challenges, struggles, or roadblocks they'll encounter when they go from point A to point B. For example, if I own an e-commerce store, right, what could be the potential problems I'll be encountering if I want to go from point A, struggling store, to point B, a store that makes 200K each month minimum, right? Well, those problems could be one, right? It's hard to figure out products people would actually buy. Number two, well, my ads aren't working. Number three, my ads are working, but people are not buying. Number four, I'm spending so many money on ads and all that stuff that I have pretty low margins. Or number five, you only get clients through ads, but they're not buying your product again and again and again. So those are problems that I might encounter on my way to scaling my store. And okay, here's the thing. If you can design your offer roadmap to cater to those problems, the better your chances of getting your services acquired by clients, even if they barely know who you are, regardless what your service is. Okay. And if you're wondering why that is, because it's easy to trust someone who's out to help you solve your problems and challenges than someone who simply promises you a benefit. Let me give you another example. Okay. Say I'm a skincare clinic and I want to get my patients to come back because I have little to return patients, right? The problems I might have if I want to go from where I am now to point B, which is having 30 to 50% of patients returning each month, it could be because I haven't done it before, right? That could be my problem. Like I want to do it, but I haven't done it before, so I have no idea what that looks like. Or I have no retention plans in place, right? I'm just, my focus is getting more clients that I don't even have a retention plan. Next is I might have no idea what messages to send to get patients to come back, right? So if I as a freelancer could offer, this client an offer roadmap that answers these challenges, I'm willing to bet that they'll have a higher chance of landing them as a client. But of course, it doesn't stop there, right? Once you've identified, okay, the problems that your prospect has in getting from point A to point B, okay, so the third step is actually solving those problems you just identified by crafting an offer roadmap. So this is how you actually stand out in the market and reduce friction in your sales process. So going back to the previous example, okay, say for example, I'm a Facebook ad specialist that caters to the e-commerce market or e-commerce store owner, right? And as I mentioned earlier, here's a list of problems that I might have in scaling my e-commerce business. Hard to find products people would actually buy. People aren't buying, right? I'm driving ads, but people are not buying. I'm doing ads, but it's not working, or I'm suffering from really low margins. Okay, so those are the problems that an e-commerce store might have. So instead of just giving them a random strategy that gets them from point A to point B, we're going to craft a roadmap that tackles those main objections head on. So your offer roadmap could look something like this. So to tackle this problem right here, we could create a deep dive survey to discover what they actually want and save them time and money guessing what people want to buy, right? Or to tackle the objection of people not buying, okay, to make sure every traffic we drive to their website or every visitor to the website buys, we can fix their website conversions or tweak their website to make sure that every visitors get to buy. The last thing we want is to drive a ton of traffic or visitors to our website that does not convert and waste thousands and thousands of ad spend, right? So that's one of their fears. So if you can let them know that as a Facebook ad specialist, you're also gonna review their website and maybe fix conversions, right? Or maybe increase conversions, that would be a welcome solution to them, right? Next, ads not working. So in here, well, you can simply you can simply tell them that you're going to implement your method that's guaranteed to perform. That's the solution to that, right? Next is how they have low margins. So to make the most out of their campaigns, you can say you're going to include messenger, email, and ad campaign for your marketing, right? You can tell them we're going to include abandoned cart sequences or remarketing sequences without the additional need for ad spend, right? Just to increase the margins that they're already getting, right? The margins that already getting for their store. Okay, so do you see how this works? You're not just basically throwing stuff on the wall and telling them, here's what we're going to do to get you to 200K. No, you identify the problems that they're going to encounter, and then your strategy is actually solving those problems. Now, imagine this roadmap and putting it on a proposal. It would look like this. Okay. On the proposal, it would look like this. Phase one, figuring out demand. First, we're going to do a quick deep dive product, research so we know exactly what our customers really want. Phase two, buyer optimization. Before we start driving clicks, we need to make sure every website visit is maximized. Phase three, launch ad campaign. Once your site is optimized to convert, it's now time to launch your ads, right? It's a methodology I created to ensure that every ad campaign I created is guaranteed to perform since every segment of our audience needs to receive different messages depending on their awareness, blah, blah, blah. And then phase four, increasing product margins, right? To make the most out of our campaigns, we'll include the messenger email ad campaign to cater those who abandon cart. Okay. Now, if you take a look at it, not only does it make your service understandable and less complicated, it also increases trust and certainty since you're probably the only one who crafted a solution that answers most of their objections. Now, you can also apply the same roadmap when closing clients on calls. So here's a solution, a sample script, right? So I see, well, John, sounds like this is something I can help you with. And one of the things I do for clients is to help them, help them get more sales and maximize their conversions, right? Using Facebook ads. Would you like to talk about what that looks like? All right. Okay, great. So I'll tell you what we do to solve it, and then if you have any questions, just jot them down. You can circle back around. Sounds good. And then they're gonna say sure, and then you're gonna say okay. So the first step to solving this is bam, same thing. First step to solving this is first we're gonna do a quick deep dive, on product and customer research, so we know exactly what our customers really want and what kind of products they'd actually buy. See what I'm talking about when I say about having the offer roadmap having tons of uses. This is exactly it. You can exactly use the same format that you have in proposals to when closing clients on the call. Okay, so having in like I said, having this roadmap in your back pocket uh, each time makes it easier for you to lay out your offer and and close people. Okay, now if you're watching this and you're thinking, how do I exactly write my roadmap offer? Right? How do I exactly write each phase so that clients would feel that I'm answering and solving their problems? Now, each phase of the roadmap, okay, goes something like this: what you'll do, why you need to do it, and what's in it for your prospect, which talks about what's at stake or what are the benefits. Okay. Now it's simple. If you look at it, it's a simple format. For example, going back to the first space, which is the example earlier, right? So this is the what you'll do part, right? So first, what we're gonna do. We're gonna do a quick deep dive product and customer research. That's what we're gonna do. Next is you're gonna answer the question, why do you need to do it? And of course, when you say why do you need to do it, it often includes a benefit on why you need to do it, right? So we know exactly what our customers really want and what kind of products they actually buy. That's the benefit of doing this step. Now, next, after what you need to do and why you need to do it, next thing you're gonna have to answer is what's in it for your prospect, what's at stake, what are the benefits, what's gonna happen if they don't do it. So that's the last part, right? Not only will this save us time, it will also save us money. Who doesn't want to save time and money, right? Versus guessing and testing random products just to see what'll work. And more often than not, most e-com store owners, they're pretty much tired of trying to looking for that winning product every single time, right? So you're gonna come in and you tell them, okay, so you no longer have to look for that winning product. We're gonna make sure that every product we put out is a winning product, right? That alone offers certainty and trust in the service that you provide, right? So, no jargon, just a simple statement saying what you'll do in a manner they'll understand, why you need to do it, and what's in it for them. So, the simpler and more understandable your roadmap is, or the phases of your roadmap is, the better. In fact, here's what I'm going to say: people pay more for simplicity versus complex plans if we'll give them the same results or even better. Now, compare that to a proposal whose strategy, right, just outlines the what without answering the potential concerns inside your prospect's head, right? Like for this one, it's an example of a strategy done for bookkeeping, right? Now, it's fine, it can work, but right, it doesn't really give your would-be clients much confidence in what you can offer, right? But the problem is this: most strategies are written this way. Like when people ask us, like, okay, so what do you do? I do this. Okay, how exactly do you do that? And then we go on this really long explanation on how we do things, going into the detail, telling, saying some jargon. And it's no surprise really that clients would often say, I like your plan, but you know, but they for some reason they just can't pay it, or for some reason they don't want to invest, or for some reason they just don't think today's the right time, right? And that's because most of the time clients or prospects could not exactly understand what is it that you're trying to help them with. Okay, and that usually happens, okay, when the plan doesn't really address their underlying doubts and objections. But if you make your strategy clear and address every potential problems, including your prospects' biggest objections about your service, then there's no doubt that they'll consider it, because every step you're taking is actually a solution to one of their problems. I mean, who would want to say no to getting their problem solved, right? And doing so removes the friction from where they are right now to where they want to go. And frankly, this is what clients pay a premium for, as opposed to having, just some random strategies that doesn't really solve the main problem. Plus, this way of crafting your offer allows you to charge premium by making your service unique as a side effect. I mean, think about this. When was the last time you saw a Facebook ad specialist worry about site conversion and remarketing? Or a webinar copywriter making sure that the offer is solid and validated? Or a web designer worrying about the email follow ups to maximize conversions, right? The answer is probably never. Now, as a rule of thumb, Okay, the roadmap should be at an average 3 to 5 steps long, or else it gets too complicated. And we all know how a confused mind never buys, right? And no less than three because it becomes too simplistic to be believable. So it has to be no more than 5 steps. If you can help it, you can go six probably. If you can help it, 5 steps for it to be clear and simple enough that they understand how your offer is going to work. But it has to be more than three, or at least three, for them to believe that this is a strategy that actually works. Because our mind, believe it or not, has a tendency to believe that a plan won't work if it's too simple. So 3 to 5, that's the sweet spot that gives them the clarity, which leads to certainty, which leads to them acquiring your services. So given all those, right, we've talked about the offer roadmap extensively in this video. Here's a brief summary of the steps. Number one, map out the transformation. Identify what's point A, Hell Island, and point B. Number two, identify the roadblocks, right? List down the problems they have, okay, they'll encounter in achieving the transformation, okay? And then lastly is to help them solve it. Craft and offer a roadmap that solves that very specific problem, okay? It's simple. Just 3 steps and you'll have an offer roadmap that's not only clear, okay, that's not only clear, but also persuades clients to work with you because solving the problems that they have right now through the steps that you're going to take them through is what actually drives certainty and trust, even if you barely know each other just yet. Okay, so next video, we're going to talk about the vital key ingredients that make your offers more persuasive and powerful. Okay, I'll see you in the next video.